Hey guys, it's Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a sit down and chit chat with you guys. Ever since I did my second update for my fourth update for my A to Z project pan, you guys have had a lot of questions. I did have 9 empty items in that update, and I think that I don't want to say caused a controversy, but you guys had a lot of questions as to how it is that I go through so many of my products. And this is not a tips and tricks for project panning. This is just what I do, things that I have found that work for me, that help me project pan in a way that makes me meet my goals. My goals with project panning is always to just use makeup and fragrance. I really don't add any skincare or anything like that to my project pans unless it's a skincare only project pan. So my goals are always to just use makeup and fragrance and to always use it up completely. Very rarely do I have a goal to hit pan. I always want to finish things. So these are just 4 things that I could think of that work for me, that help me be successful in project panning. So I hope you guys I hope that makes sense, and I hope you guys find this informative, and maybe that'll help you guys with your project panning. The first thing that I have here is consistency. I am very consistent with all the products that I use. If you guys notice, I don't do makeup baskets. I don't do either weekly, monthly, or whatever. My makeup basket are my project pan items. A lot of times people ask me, well, how come you don't rotate through your collection? You'd have more use out of your items. You wouldn't be tempted to buy things if you played more around with your collection. But the thing is, I feel that if I do rotate through my collection, I will not use as much product as if I didn't rotate through my collection. And at the end of the year, I wouldn't have many empty products because I've rotated around. I hope that makes sense. I know that's kind of like a silly way to think of things, but if I want to have a good amount of empties towards the end of the year, I need to focus on the items that I'm using, and I need to use them up. So if I am working on, let's say, 2 blushes at the same time, I'm gonna have half of the amount of progress that I would have if I had only focused on 1. Do you guys know what I mean? So I only focus like on those big ticket items, like let's say a foundation, bronzer, a blush, some highlighters depending on the formula, if they're deluxe size samples, things like that, full size. I always only focus on 1 at a time, and that I've been project panning for about 4 years now, so I already kind of know how long it takes me to use what. And so when I add an item to a project pan, I already kind of have an idea of how long it'll take me to use up if I use it every day. Speaking of consistency and using things every day, I do have a full-time job. So I do wear makeup every single day, Monday through Friday, and most of the time, well, every Sunday, of course. So I wear makeup every day, Sunday through Friday, and then if I can get away with it, I'll have like Saturdays off. Sometimes I can't, so sometimes I'll even wear makeup 7 days a week. So and what you guys see me filming in, that is the kind of makeup that I do. So I never do like a day of like playing around with makeup and mixing things and see how they would look, because I can't afford that luxury to be very, not spontaneous, experimental, I guess you say, with makeup. A lot of times people are like, well, don't you get bored of panning that same look? Or you should play with more color or do different looks. But I do like have to go to work. It's not like I can just like put whatever crazy colors and then go to work. Like I have to be, I don't want to rub anyone the wrong way, but like I need to be comfortable with how I look. Because if I feel like, oh gosh, this looks bad, I think I'm gonna be very self-conscious at work, and I think I'm gonna portray that. So I just make sure that if I look works, then that's what works. So wearing makeup 6 to 7 days a week, that really helps out a lot as well. And I think that, you know, the good thing about being consistent and using your stuff every single day is that when you do an update, when you're working on it, you don't realize how much progress you've made. And then when you do go ahead and do an update for your project pan, you're like, oh wow, I actually did make more progress than I originally thought. So it's very rewarding and it's very motivating. It's very easy to lose motivation when you are project panning and you don't see progress. But I think when I use the items every single day, it really does help me, and I enjoy seeing the progress. So that's one. The second thing is that I've learned to use what works for me, and I think this goes in hand with consistency. If you don't like to wear, I don't know, red lipstick, and you put a red lipstick in a project pan, forcing yourself to use it is not, it's not gonna help you, because you're gonna resent red lipsticks forever, and you're gonna get demotivated, unmotivated. What's the word? Like, you're not gonna be motivated to use the product, and then when you see an update, you're gonna have the tiniest bit of progress, and that's gonna discourage you even further. So learn what works for you. And take advantage, number 3, take advantage of the things you like, your high volume use. So if you already easily go through face powders, put like a face powder in your project pan, put 2 face powders in a project pan, you know, something to set your under eye with and then something to set your whole face with. Just use things that work for you and things that you already use all the time. If I'm gonna go again, this kind of goes hand in hand with everything. Consistency, using what works for you, and your high volume things, they all kind of go together. For example, I have a hard time panning eyeshadows. The only reason why I went through my eyeshadows so fast this year is because 1, there were only 6, 2, they were very neutral, and 3, I multitasked them. If I had just used them on my eyes, I don't think I would have had that much progress with them. I'm a slow eyeshadow panner to begin with. So I am not going to put an eyeshadow in every single project pan, because I know that that's not gonna work for me. However, I go through lip products incredibly fast. I reapply very often. I'm very conscious about reapplying. I make the effort to reapply. So I always put 2 or 3 lip products in each project pan, because I know that it's not gonna be a problem. Not in every single one of my project pans, but if I start a project pan 1 month and then 2 months later I start another project pan, I'll go ahead and add another 1 or 2. I never start 2 projects at the same time with the same kind of products, because again, we get into the whole splitting the attention from one item to another that are in the same category. I hope that made sense. So just know what works for you. In the lip category, I just reapply. I've called myself multiple times a chronic reapplier. I just love lip products. I love to have something on my lips. I feel naked if I don't have something on my lips, even if it's a lip gloss. Even the people at work, if I'm not wearing anything, they're like, are you tired? That's just something, that's just kind of like my signature, I guess you can say, lip products. And I enjoy wearing bold lip colors as well. Not so much like the nudie browns, like the very light nude browns. Those I'm not a big fan of. But colorful lip products and bold colors, I really do enjoy. So you gotta find things that are enjoyable for you to use, because if you're like me and you're not going to be rotating to everything, you don't want to get tired of what you're using. So, and the 4th thing that I wanted to talk about is multitasking products. This is something that I have recently started doing. I know this is not a new concept, but I have really taken on this year on multitasking things. That's how I went through my Panda palette fairly quickly. Unfortunately, the face products for that palette were not very pigmented, so that forced me to combine those face products with some eyeshadows to give them a little bit more pigment so I can use them, mixing eyeshadows to make a bronzer, which is what I'm using right now. So the only thing I had ever used was a lipstick as a blush. That was as far as I had gone for multitasking items. But now I'm glad that this year I've really experimented with eyeshadows and making them fit for me as face products. So that's really helped. But that's pretty much it, guys. It's not Like I said, it's not really a how-to project pan tips and tricks. This is just things that I have learned through my time project panning. When I first started project panning, I was only panning deluxe size items because I had no idea how long it would take me to use up an item, like a deluxe size item. I had no idea. And through these years of project panning, I already have an idea of how long things last me, based on the number of usage that I do. So I kind of have an idea of what can I put in that I can realistically finish, because like I said, my goal is always to finish. And it's very satisfying to have at the end of the day, at the end of the year, to see all the empty makeup products, because it's gonna be fun for me this year, because I have always spent a lot of money on makeup, and I had been justifying it with well, I'm using up all these items at the end of the year, but then really like nothing in my collection changed, because as I was getting items out, items were coming in, and this year nothing's coming in. I haven't broken my no buy, so I'm very excited about that. So I'm having a little bit more room in my makeup storage, so it's gonna be really nice to see at the end of the year how much I finished and how much I saved, because I really didn't spend any money. I did have to buy I don't know how I got into this topic, but I did have to buy a few setting sprays and a concealer to lighten up the other concealers that I have that are too dark. But in reality, it's gonna be really nice to see that empty space emptying out in my storage. And again, like I said, I just don't rotate through my items, even though yes, it's getting old, it's not getting used, might be going to waste, whatever you want to call it. That doesn't bother me. It would bother me more for December to come around and then me just have a few things finished, as opposed to like all these things that have been touched. And I don't know, to me, I feel like if I haven't touched it, it has a greater, like it'll last longer than if I use it for a few months and then put it away, and then because it's been used and touched and played with, like that's when bacteria starts growing. I don't know, that's just how I think. I could be totally wrong, but who cares? That's just what works for me. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave you guys at that. I think I've said everything I needed to say. I hope you guys enjoyed. Just don't set your expectations based on what other people do in project panning. Set your own goals, set your own rules, and just be happy of your own accomplishments, because it's you against you. It's not you against other project panners, other beauty channels. You do what works for you, and you be proud of whatever goals you accomplish. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for my Pan That Palette 2.0 that is coming up after this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.